Joseph makes the save. There's the siren of words and come to Chicago.
Making his second appearance tonight, Curtis Joseph.
Picks up his first of what I'm sure will be many National Hockey League victories.
All right.
Ready?
I think we're good.
Starting from the beginning, you being undrafted goalie, how was that being undrafted? Did you expect that, or was it painful to watch?
So, being undrafted, I should have been undrafted. I wasn't good enough yet. I played on a lot of teams that gave up a lot of shots. But my big break came when I played for two good teams when I was 19 and 20. Notre Dame Hounds, great team, made me look great as a goalie, gave me a scholarship to Wisconsin. Great team in Wisconsin, great players, a lot of seniors. And there again, I was a rookie, but I was 21 years old, and I looked great. So all of a sudden, you're undrafted. I was too old for the supplemental draft that they had back then to catch free agents.
Talk about your freshman goaltenders, but Joseph is an older guy at about 21 years of age.
He won he was the reason that the team that he played on last year won the Centennial Cup, which is a Tier 2 junior hockey championship in Canada. And he has done nothing to dispel those statistics from this year. He is an excellent goaltender. Right now, he's rated number 2 in the league goaltending-wise, and we haven't won a game.
And then all of a sudden, like a month into the season in Wisconsin, the local writer comes to me and says, "Curtis, Bobby Clark's going to be here tonight." I go, "Oh, amazing. Who's drafted by Philly? You know, who's he here to see?" He goes, and he was making a point, and he says, "No, he's here to see you." I say, "He's here to see me." He goes, "You're a free agent, and you're too old for the supplemental draft. You're creating a buzz, and there's a lot of scouts here." I was like, wow. I was so happy to be at college, and I had 4 years to play, and that's what I was thinking about. That was my dream, was to make it to college. And then all of a sudden that changed. Like, you may have I was never thinking about the NHL. Undersized guy, dislocating shoulder, just not a prospect. And then all of a sudden, all these teams became interested, and St. Louis was one of them.
How did the process go for St. Louis to be the one to sign you?
So there was probably 7 or 8 teams interested in me, and I never thought about making the NHL. I thought that was such a far-fetched dream. But the teams that came down to were St. Louis, Edmonton, New York Islanders, and Hartford Whalers. And I went on recruiting trips to all these places. When I went to Hartford, I met Gordie Howe. You know, he worked in the office. I met Bill Torrey from the Islanders, Glenn Sather from Edmonton. And when I came here on a recruiting trip, Brian Sutter picked me up in a limousine at the airport. And I was like, wow, this is different. And Brian was such a guy's guy, and very like your friend. I went to his house, met his wife and his kids. I was like, wow, because I had a difficult childhood also. So when somebody reaches out like that, it really had an effect on me, and immediately I'm signing here. And Ron Caron, God bless Ron Caron, an amazing human being. He was instrumental. Him and Donnie Meehan made a deal, and the rest is history. I signed with the Blues, and so happy to sign with the Blues.
22 years old, a little veteran team, and Holly was running the show. How did they treat you?
I was never a prospect, or I didn't know anybody also. Usually when you play junior or you play World Junior, you know guys in the NHL. I didn't know anybody. So I'm coming in blind. I don't know a soul, except for Rod Brindamore. And I come in and I didn't play with anybody at any time, but Brett Hull is bigger than life.
Are you a tough guy, or are you also a bruiser and
I'm
enforcer?
I'm a longer.
Really? Do you fight it all?
Hall in at right wing, a shot. He scores! Brett Hull, and it's 3-2 Blues.
Brett is Bobby Hull's son, and Bobby's always around. And Brett's hockey royalty, and he's scoring 72 goals. He's crushing it. So for me, I was quiet by nature at that time, and I was even quieter because I took it all in. I watched Adam Oates, I watched Brett Hull, I watch how they handle things, how they're confident. Gino Cavallini, these guys reeked of confidence. And I took that into my own game and said, I need to be more like these men. These are real men. And I was a baby at the time. And they taught me a lot about being a professional. I was wearing a Wisconsin tracksuit to practice every day. And Gino pulled me aside and Gino says, Curtis, see how I'm dressed? Nice jeans, nice sweater. You're a professional now. Don't wear a Wisconsin tracksuit every day to practice. I was like, okay. And from that day on, I never wore that tracksuit again. And I dressed nicely. And it was the best advice somebody could have given me. I was a professional.
I think that first year, was it that the year Vinny, Jabber, Millsy were all here?
Yeah.
How are they towards you?
Yeah, so Greg Mellon's a veteran. When I got here, Vincent Rando's another veteran. Pat Jablonski, Guy Hebert, actually, who became a great goalie in the NHL. Actually, so I hurt my knee first training camp, MCL, so I needed time in the minors. And in Peoria, it was myself, Pat Jablonski, and Guy Hebert, all NHL goalies eventually. And it was great. They were great guys. We were all young together, and I remember that fondly. And of course, you had Kelly Chase, Tony Twist. We're all the same age, and what a crew! And we all played in the NHL, so it was great. But Greg Millen was the veteran. You could tell he was the incumbent, and he was not going to let go. You're not going to let go of your job. Vinny was a sweetheart. He became my friend. But I really had a time wrestling with. I was very driven, and I wanted to play all the games, and I wanted to be the guy, because growing up, I played in small towns, and I was the guy at such a low level. But Vinny was like, hey, Curtis, can you pick me up? Marie-José, has to do something. And I was like, and for me, it was like, I'm going to be friends with this guy, but I'm going to take his job. That was hard. And Vinny was such a sweetheart. So I had to wrestle with that internally, how to be friends and also how to be a great player. That's a part of being a professional. So Vinny taught me a lot that you could be both. You could be a friend, but still play great. And that was something I remember fondly of how am I going to be a pro and take his job, essentially, but still be his friend,
Remember your first NHL game?
Oh, I remember my first NHL game. It was against Edmonton, and it was a failure.
All right, John Kelly, nice big crowd to begin the new year and the new decade, and Mahar and Messier, the two captains, are ready to go. And Brown on defense in front of Joseph in the goal to our left.
And I remember not being able to sleep during the afternoon, and I was so wound up, and I remember scraping the crease like goalies do, and I was like, oh, my legs are so heavy. Like I had worn myself out mentally before the game. And it was the worst possible game I could play. I was unprepared mentally to be able to handle that, but I learned from it.
Here's Bookaboo, fires one, he scores! Bookaboo from the right point. It was tipped in and now Messier in front, a pass, they score! Yari Curry in front, and with 5 seconds left in the period, the Oilers lead by 2 again. 2 seconds to go. This one is over, and the Edmonton Oilers win both games here at the arena this season.
I mean, they're scooping the puck out of the net. Yari Curry scored some milestone goal. It's, as a goalie, when they're scooping the puck out and keeping it and taping it up, you're like, it's not a good night. And I got throttled by Edmonton. Was it at home here too? So the best thing that could have happened, we went on the road, and I think it was the Islanders, and I was good. And that was, I remember the headline, trying to recall, I think it said Broadway Joe, which was a great headline. Whoever wrote that, whoever the editor was for the Post-Dispatch, it was good. Anyway, it was premature, but I played 2 games. My first game wasn't so good. The next 2 were real good.
On the road here at the Nassau Coliseum, and they come out to congratulate 22-year-old goalie Curtis Joseph, who in his second NHL appearance picks up his first of what I'm sure will be many National Hockey League victories.
So that 89 year, I mean, Hully's scoring 72 goals, Adamos 100 points. I mean, what you had to be in awe watching these guys.
Oh yeah, no, I had a front row seat to watch the greatest scorer that I ever saw. Brett was ahead of his time, and he was scoring everything that he shot, and he was loving life, and he was larger than life. And I was trying to get my footing in. I wanted to be a big part of what was happening here. We had great guys, Nelson Emerson probably at the time, Jeff Brown were friends, and great humans, and I was just soaking it all in. But I was so, when you get older and you're a little more veteran, you see everything. Everything was such a whirlwind at that time. But I was a good athlete and got better and better because I was on the ice every day. And being on the ice every day with that kind of talent, you want to get better and you want to be a part of it. And I wanted to be a star like Brett, and because that looked good to me. And so I worked hard at it and got better and better.
So Hully was in his run of 72, 86, 70 goals. You had to look at that as a challenge in practice, like, I'm going to stop the greatest goal scorer right now in the league.
It's true. And most goalies can tell you, but I know from my point, you take so many shots in practice, but the great players, you actually get a little more ready for. No offense to the other players, but when the great players came down, you wanted to stop them every time. That's just how practice goes. You know who's coming down and you know who's shooting. And the thing about Brett is he was so accurate that he was never going to hit you in the face. Like, guys would come down and they would take a slap shot and you didn't know if it was going to hit you high or hurt you. Brett never hit you in a vulnerable area because it was always in the corner, always off the post and in. So I tried. There wasn't, in all the years I played with Brett, there probably wasn't one shot in practice that I took an ounce off. It was 100% trying to stop Brett Hull on every shot, every practice, every day for 6 years. That's how I handled Brett, in my mind.
1990 playoffs.
Yeah.
How was that?
So, I had got some taste of playoffs, but that was really my coming out as a player was the 93 playoffs. It was, we played Chicago first round. I became the starter, and Chicago was one of the cup favorites, and we beat Chicago 4 straight. Blues fans, they loved it because it's our big rivalry. You could have thought we won the Stanley Cup. So it was great. After we played Chicago and beat them out 4 straight, and they had great players, Chelios, Belfour, Roenick, all Hall of Famers.
.957 save percentage, 2 shutouts, series sweep.
Yeah.
That had to be pretty, feel good.
It felt amazing. And it felt amazing because my teammates would give me the response that I was craving. And the response that I was craving is, great job, way to be there for us. And you can ask any player, and for me in particular, I need to be needed. So when those guys would come back to me and go, great job, I felt a sense of team, I felt a sense of family, which I hadn't had in my entire life. So that experience, probably that series, gave me all of that in like a 2-week period. Everything that I needed in life, and it was great. We played Toronto in Toronto. I think we started in Toronto, and it was the first time that Toronto had a great team, and they had been dying for a great team. So the buildup of their hockey team and their fan base was at an all-time high. You had Doug Gilmour, Wendell Clark, Dave Andrechuk, Felix the Cat. So the media was intense. You go into Toronto and it was another world. And I'm from there, and people are coming from high school and I see them, but I was very focused, and that was my coming out party, probably that series, and played extremely well. And from there on, I was a bona fide #1 goalie.
And that was the back-to-back double overtime games between you and Felix.
Yes. And the shot clocks are right above the net. So shot clocks are like, at the end of the game, they're 70, 50 or whatever, and you can see them. And it's hot, there's no air, it's an old building, there's no air conditioning, and you are losing weight just standing there. I probably would lose 10 to 12 pounds each game. And if I had one regret, it was hydration. If I could have hydrated a lot better, even, I don't know if they had IVs back then, I would have been a lot, we may have won the series, but I was so dehydrated by the end of the 7-game series, I wasn't the same as when I started. And you chalk that up to experience. That told me I needed to hydrate, every series after that, so I got better at that. But that was one of the highlights of my lifetime and one of the highlights of my career, no question.
So Curtis, you had your blue helmet when you first came here with the cage, and then you went into the trumpet mask. How did all that start? Who came up with that?
So Greg Harrison was the big mask maker at the time, and he was the guy who you could not get a mask from. It would take you 3 months to get a mask, and I think I waited for that one for a long time. He's the artist, the mask. I have a buddy who's the drummer for the Bare Naked Ladies, Tyler Stewart, and that's his favorite mask. And every time I see him, he goes, "Hey, that mask, I love it with the trumpets and the notes." He's a musician, it's amazing. And I go, "Yeah, it was good to me, it was great." And
then it transformed into the Cujo mask, which you carried your entire career.
Yeah, and that's one of my favorite masks. It was one of the best looking masks that I have, and I have a lot of memories in it. So Robert Dirk nicknamed me Cujo, C-U-J-O, first and last name. And of course, it stuck, easy to say. Kids loved it. It became my handle. And then I made a mask. I remember with the artist, they would fax me over drawings, renderings of the mask. I'm like, "Oh, it's amazing. You're the artist. That's great. Can we change this, or put my name here, or put my kids' initials on the back?" "Yes, let's do it." And then it became very iconic. So, but in order for your mask to be one of the greats, you have to play up to that ability to, so I kept it simple too, so you could see it. It's not too detailed. And I feel like each mask represents me and who I was on the ice, a fierce competitor. And when I got off, I was hopefully a good husband, a good father, and a nice guy to the fans. But when I stepped on the ice, that's who I was. One thing I've kept as souvenirs, I've given away a lot of equipment, but I've kept all my masks. And to me, that's what protected me. That's what I looked through. That gave me courage, obviously, to stop shots. And they're memories for me. Each one represents a different time in my life and different memory. I can look inside, I can still see missing hair, sweat, blood. And my wife, Stephanie, saw all these old masks. She goes, "We need to put those up on a display." I'm like, where are we gonna put it? Right in the front room. I'm like, "Really? We have this cool mask display in our house, and it looks amazing." And every time I walk by it, it gives me a little history lesson and a memory of what was accomplished in the past. So kudos to Stephanie. She made a tremendous wall. It looks very classy also.
We signed Shanny as a free agent from New Jersey.
Yes. So the Scott Stevens, Brendan Shanahan deal is a very interesting one, because we had Scott Stevens, which I'm happy about. He's great defensively. He's going to make my job so much easier, and he was great. And Scotty was a great team leader and a warrior. And so we signed Ron Caron, very progressive. You got to give him credit for always trying. He signs Brendan Shanahan, a restricted free agent, to an offer sheet. The league, no, we don't want teams doing that. So the team is offering myself, they have to make the package attractive. Young players, Rod Brindamore, myself, as compensation to go to New Jersey for Brendan Shanahan. And New Jersey says, "Hey, we have a goalie in the making, Marty Brodeur. We want Scott Stevens." Guess what happened? The league sends a message to the rest of the league. Don't put offer sheets out there on restricted free agents. And it was one of the biggest, everybody knew about it. Scott Stevens goes the other way, Brendan Shanahan comes this way. Brendan Shanahan turns out to be a great star, and definitely not a mistake. I still see Brendan Shanahan in Toronto, and our joke, every time I see him, I go, Shanny, did we ever get ripped off from that deal in St. Louis? We lost Scott Stevens. He looks at me straight in the eye and he goes, we just didn't offer enough. Me and Rod Brindamore. It turned out, what a package. But his line back to me is great.
I know you talked about this a million times now, Curtis, but it really is probably the 3 most famous words in Blues history is...
Here comes Cheveldae. Here comes Cheveldae, yeah. Chaser, man, great friend, but he started all that melee. But you can tell when, you know, a game, there's payback. This game leading up, Blues, Red Wings, you knew there was going to be a few fights. There was a few paybacks from previous games, and it started early in the game. Chaser started a fight, and then Probert was out there. You can tell who's out there, what's going to happen. And it became a brawl, and it escalated quickly. And I remember sitting down the other end and watching this whole melee happen. And then all of a sudden, Tim Cheveldae comes flying out from his end to center ice, and now it's an outnumbered situation. You have no choice but to go and take your man. So I skated quickly.
Here comes Cheveldae. He'll be thrown out of the game. Cheveldae. Now Joseph gets into it. Curtis Joseph grabs Cheveldae, and the 2 goalies go at it head to head. And Joseph with 3 great rights to Cheveldae. And we've got some terrific fights going on.
And Cummins came out of the penalty box as well.
There are sticks and gloves everywhere. The 2 goalies having a great fight at center ice. For those of you watching...
I'd only been in one other fight previous to that, and it was in a baseball game when I was 18. And I got punched in the face hard a couple times. I led with my face, didn't have my hands up, and got embarrassed pretty good. So my mindset after that fight in baseball was never let a guy get in your space, and if he does, start throwing punches as fast as you can. And so that was my mentality, and that's what I did, and it was very successful. Maybe a few other fights after that, which I was always the aggressor, because I never wanted to lose a fight or lose a game. So that was my mentality, and I got lucky enough to hit him with a couple early, and I think it maybe threw him off a little bit. And Tim Cheveldae's a wonderful guy, and I saw him afterwards, and great guy. But you win some and you lose some. Fortunately, I won that tilt, and Vincent Rando was his roommate at the time because Vinny had been traded to Detroit, and he called me in the morning. He goes, Curtis, Chevy can't see out of his eye. He's in the bathroom. And Vinny was such a great dude. I love Vinny. But yeah, I remember that fondly, and got a lot of notoriety from that. And fights were part of the game back then. They were part of the game, part of the fabric of what we did. And that was one of my most memorable moments that I remember of my career.
Okay, so Mike Keenan.
Yeah. Mike came to us and wielded a lot of power. He was the GM and coach, and had just won a Stanley Cup. I mean, it doesn't get any more powerful than that. And Mike, at that time, and he may tell you this, that he was a bit over the top with his decisions. I felt he was at the time, the way he treated some players. He obviously had success in the past. He was a great motivator, but that's how he got players to win, was to motivate. And I didn't agree with his tactics, and I wasn't a player that could play angry. I wanted to play happy and confident, and those were my 2 things. So me and Mike, it was a big adjustment period for me to a coach who was trying to get the most out of you with firing you up or being angry, and that's not what I needed. To be happy and confident. I didn't need to be angry. I needed to be thinking about stopping the puck. So I didn't play that well that year, and so me and Mike really didn't hit it off, and then I got traded that summer, which was a kick in the gut for me, because I was a St. Louis Blue. This is my team, my first love. It's like your first love, and Yeah, it didn't end well for me with Mike. And I always tell my sons and whoever's close to me that if I never got traded or Mike never got the job here, I probably would have been a Blue. The way my career went, I probably would have been a Blue for life, 20 years.
So, ironically, in the game of hockey, he ends your career in St. Louis, and you end your career with him at 41 years old in Calgary.
Irony, as irony would have it, I'm semi-retired, taking the kids to school. Don't want to be retired. A friend of mine in the game said, Curtis, go play in the Spangler Cup, and if you play well, you can be back in the NHL. I'm like, oh, okay. And I was out of shape. I think I played one game and I was like, oh my gosh. And the altitude. And the rink was at the top of a mountain in Davos, Switzerland. Beautiful, but you're sucking air. It took me probably 2 games to actually feel okay. Got stronger. We split the games and I got better anyway. We ended up winning the tournament, playing a Russian team. I played really well, had like 7 offers to come back to the NHL at that point. Came down to San Jose, Doug Wilson, and Calgary, Mike Keenan. Mike Keenan picks up the phone and goes, Curtis, Mike Keenan here. I go, hey Mike. I hadn't spoken to him in 20 years. And he goes, I'm not the same coach I used to be. I know you remember me in St. Louis. I'm a different guy. I coach differently. I've learned a lot of things. He was so open and so convincing about who he was now as opposed to before. I was like, I'll sign with you. He won me over like that. And when I got there and the way he coached was totally different. He was great. He held guys accountable. He sat in stalls beside guys, said, how are you going to be different? How are you going to make a difference? I really loved his approach, and we had a great team. We didn't win the cup, made the playoffs, we're great. I backed up Kiprusoff, and Mike was great.
And finally, you go into the Blues Hall of Fame. 2 of your kids were born in St. Louis. How great was it to have your entire family back and see what you meant to the city?
You know, Mike, we were talking about this earlier. You can go to one of the greatest movies of all time. And if you go by yourself, it's great. It's a great movie, but there's nobody to share it with. It's not the same. So for me to come here and have such a great honor as being in the Blues Hall of Fame with my kids that watched every second of every game, they were all in all the time. And my best friends, my ride or die friends, take the time out of their schedule to fly in here from all over the US and Canada and share that with them last night. 2 tables. I looked over at my friend's table, looked at my family and my kids, my wife, and everybody was smiling and so happy. We have that memory together. And so I was nervous at all. I got up on stage and I'm like, yeah, this is for my family and I get to share it with the people that are closest to me for the rest of my life. And that's how I looked at it. And I'm very thankful and very grateful. And what a great honor.